Hello, I am author Denise Turney, and you are watching the Chistel, CHISTELL.com YouTube channel. And this Chistel.com YouTube show is about what does Raymond Clark, and he is the star in Love Pour Over Me, what does he teach us about perseverance? First of all, Raymond Clark, like unfortunately many people, whether adults, continue people who are right now in their childhood and people who are coming out of their childhood going into their middle age years or their high school years, unfortunately in the country and around the globe, deal with things that Raymond deals with in Love Pour Over Me. He has a very traumatic childhood. He's an only child and he is being raised by a father who, although he loves him, he has untreated alcoholism. His mother leaves when Raymond is only 2. I'll leave it to you to how you will deal with in your own mind the fact that she left Raymond at 2 years old with a man who was obviously sick. So all the traumas, and I don't go into a lot of the physical trauma that Raymond goes through with his father, who's very abusive, but his father leaves a lot of emotional and psychological scars on Raymond as well, and seems to take delight in doing so. You'll see in the opening when Raymond's getting ready for his high school graduation what happens prior to him going, while he's there, and after he returns home. You just get a little glimpse of his father. And I'll tell you, just a few chapters into Love Pour Over Me, reader feedback is that readers become very emotional, and I mean very emotional, several paragraphs into the novel, because they really don't like Raymond's father, Malcolm. Now, I know how the story ends, so I don't hate Malcolm, but a lot of readers do. And I'd be curious to know how readers feel about Malcolm if their view of him changes. Some readers say it didn't by the time they get to the end of the story. But what does Raymond Clark in Love Pour Over teach us about perseverance? Even though you experience great trauma in childhood, and those are your programming years. If we were like a computer or a robot, that's when we're being programmed. You cannot overstress how impactful what happens then is to a child. But we often see children as weaker than us. Some men see women that way, physically smaller, diminutive, weaker. What can they do to me? Even if I pour my sickness out on them rather than heal myself, what can they do to me? So that's the approach Raymond's father takes to unconsciously to his unawares. Either way, it's still him taking the step, whether you're conscious or unconsciously doing it. It's still you doing it. So you can become aware of what you're doing and get help to stop, but his father doesn't. So anyway, he overcomes those traumas. But Raymond is very gifted. He's very gifted academically, and he's very gifted athletically. He's one of the country and one of the world's top middle distance runners. And I mean, he really makes a name for himself. He's somebody you would see often in Sports Illustrated for track and field or track and field news. He's exceptionally gifted, and he's also, again, academically gifted. He does this despite the environment that he grows up in, and he grows up in West Dayton, Ohio, in the 1970s and the 1980s. But he's on a fast track, so he shows you how to keep going despite early trauma, which can really impact us for decades, even when we do a lot of inner work to get through it. So just keep going. That's one thing Raymond shows, that despite the odds against you, like Gideon in the scriptures, there's so many people who thought, I'm the least of these. Keep going, because you don't know what's coming in your future, and you don't know when it's going to show up, whether it's in this physical experience or another one. So Raymond, he shows to just keep going. He also, Raymond, another lesson he teaches is, don't let the trauma change you and turn you into a monster. Even if the person who was abusing you was like that, don't you become like that. Do whatever it takes so that your heart doesn't become stony and you can still feel love. Although Raymond does do a lot to try to protect himself, he does create defense systems which eventually tend to turn on us, and they do on Raymond, but they protect us when we're young. So he learns about letting go, even letting go of some of those defense systems, because they've kept him from too many things. So persevering despite the early traumas. Don't let the abuse turn you into like a monster or inwardly ugly person. and do the work that it takes to let go of the defense systems that once served you as a child, but they're now starting to become shortcomings and trappings now that you're an adult and you no longer need them. And then Raymond also teaches the importance of staying open. And this is not something that he tries to do because his defense system is to protect himself. And openness is not something that he wants to do. But he meets his soulmate at college. And can he afford to stay that closed off and keep her? So you see the changes that he goes through in the story. His persevering, his openness. Don't let early traumas stop you. Stay open to love, even if you have a defense system up and you're just a little bit open because you're so scared. And he shows you what happens when you never quit. And Raymond, one thing he does do in Love Pour Over Me, he has wonderful friends. So he's not so closed off that he can't. He is a wonderful friend. There's a murder mystery tucked in Love Pour Over Me, and you'll see how good a friend he is. And he's not a corrupt guy, but he's a wonderful friend. He does have a lot of childhood traumas that he must deal with. I gotta tell you, women love Raymond, but he does have a lot of childhood traumas that he has to deal with. And you have to see, what does it cost him and Brenda? And I will tell you, it does cost him something. But what does it cost them in the story? And is there time? Is there still time as they both work to heal for things to end up wonderfully? And how much time will pass before that happens? Is it ever too late for love? I'm not giving the story away, not going to tell you what happens in the story. A lot of people are shocked by some of the things that happen in the story. There are some sudden things that happen suddenly in Love Pour Over Me, but when you read back through it, or as you read along, you will be able to connect everything that happens and understand it. So these are the things that Raymond teaches us. Even if you had a bad childhood, please, please, please keep going. Seek help if you need to seek help. And don't close yourself off completely to love. You don't know what's on the horizon. Use your talents and your gifts and your passions for as long as you can. Sometimes we do things that as we get older, we might not be able to do it as much, but for as long as you can, it could have value greatly now and in the future. I encourage you to get a copy of Love Pour Over Me. It's available in ebook and in print copy. You can get it at Amazon.com, ebookit.com. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it, if you don't see it on the bookstore shelves or at the library, just ask the clerk to order a copy of Love Pour Over Me by Denise Turney for you. And they can order your copy because it's carried by the largest book distributors in the world. And then let me know. You can drop it in the comments right here. Subscribe to our Chistel, CHISTELL.com YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments how you enjoy Love Pour Over Me. See you back here next week. Remember, you're amazing. Please get a copy of Love Pour Over Me. Bye for now.